My name is Anaï. I am 65 years old, and today I want to share something that you may not have thought much about, but that could be affecting your life or that of someone you love. Have you ever stopped to think about how the lack of sex, especially after the age of 50, can transform a man's life? It may seem surprising, but this absence can have a profound impact on both physical and emotional health. Stay with us until the end of the video, as I will be providing valuable tips to help you face this challenging moment. The lack of intimacy can not only increase stress and anxiety, but also undermine confidence and self-esteem, affecting overall well-being and relationships. But don't worry, there are ways to face these challenges and improve the quality of life. Shall we explore together how this works? When a man goes a long time without sex, especially after 50, it can affect various areas of his life, both inside and out. Without sex, the body stops releasing those substances that make us feel happy and relaxed, resulting in increased anxiety and nervousness. Many men associate their masculinity with their ability to have sexual relations, and when this activity becomes rare, they may start to doubt themselves. This directly impacts confidence, and a lack of confidence can reflect in work, personal relationships, and overall well-being. The impact of a lack of sex doesn't stop there. It can drive couples apart and create an emotional distance that is difficult to overcome. Intimacy is a vital part of any relationship, and without it, small problems can turn into major conflicts. If the situation prolongs, the sexual life can become boring, and when it finally happens, the monotony can ruin pleasure and satisfaction. Resuming a sexual life after a long period of abstinence can be a challenge. The fear of not meeting expectations can create a cycle of anxiety and insecurity that prevents any attempt at a fresh start. But don't be discouraged. Understanding what happens to a man's hormones during this period is crucial. Imagine that testosterone is a vital fuel for maintaining energy, sexual desire, and the health of sexual organs. Without sex, this fuel decreases, and a man may start to notice changes such as loss of muscle mass, weight gain, and even difficulty achieving strong and lasting erections. Oh, before we continue, I want to make a special request. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, do it now. Here, I share valuable tips on relationships and sexuality for those over 45, helping you live a life full of love and understanding. Don't miss the opportunity to learn more and improve your life. Subscribe and leave a like to support our work. These physical and emotional changes don't have to be an inevitable fate. There are treatments, solutions, and even simple practices like masturbation that can help maintain sexual health. This often overlooked practice is essential for maintaining erectile function and relieving stress and anxiety. It also improves sleep quality, which is crucial for overall well-being. Speaking of health, regular sex brings benefits that go far beyond momentary pleasure. It strengthens the heart, improves blood circulation, helps control weight, and even boosts the immune system. Additionally, it contributes to a healthier mind, helping to combat depression and anxiety, and strengthening self-esteem and confidence. Now, I know that many men may feel that talking about these things is difficult, but remember, taking care of sexual health is just as important as taking care of the heart or mind. If you are noticing changes in your life due to a lack of sex, consider seeking professional help, communicating openly with your partner, and exploring new ways to keep intimacy alive. I remember my dear friend Carlos. He has always been a lively man with contagious energy, but over time things changed. After his divorce, he spent years without getting involved with anyone, and that began to affect him in ways he never expected. Carlos didn't talk much about it, but I could see in his eyes the shadow of a sadness that didn't exist before. He became more closed off, insecure, and his confidence seemed to have evaporated. Perhaps you never thought about this, but the absence of intimacy can truly transform a man's life. It's not just about the act itself, but about what it represents. When we stop having these connections, our body and mind feel the difference. Carlos started to lose that sparkle in his eyes, that confidence he always had. And it wasn't just an emotional issue. Physically, he also changed. He was more tired, gained weight, and his self-esteem plummeted. Did you know that sex is not just pleasure? It is a way to release substances that make us feel happy and relaxed. When that is lacking, stress accumulates, anxiety grows, and even sleep starts to fade. Believe me, I saw this happen right before my eyes. Carlos, who used to be full of energy, began to feel demotivated. His performance at work dropped, and he distanced himself from friends. And the impact doesn't stop there. When a man goes a long time without sex, it can deeply shake his confidence and self-esteem. Carlos began to feel less like a man, as if his masculinity was tied to how often he had relations. He didn't say this, but I knew he questioned whether he was still desirable, whether he still had value. This lack of confidence began to affect other areas of his life. He stopped taking risks, pursuing new experiences, living fully. I remember a conversation we had on a quiet afternoon, sitting in the park. He confessed that he felt trapped in a vicious cycle. The longer he went without intimacy, the more insecure he became, and the less he attempted to reverse the situation. It was as if he was stuck in a maze with no way out. And you know this is something many men face, but few have the courage to talk about. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. Here, I share stories and tips that can make a difference in your life, especially if you're over 50. So subscribe, leave a like, and come be part of this community where we learn together to live with more love and understanding. But Carlos's story doesn't stop there. He began to realize that the lack of sex was affecting not just his mind but also his body. He felt weaker, started to lose muscle mass, and noticed he was gaining weight. Even simple tasks like climbing stairs or taking a walk became tiring. All of this was because testosterone, that hormone that gives energy and desire, began to decline. And without that fuel, the flame of life seemed to dim. The lack of intimacy also started to impact Carlos's relationships. He withdrew from friends, avoided social gatherings, and when he did go out, he always seemed distant. In the rare moments he allowed himself to think about restarting his love life, the fear of not meeting expectations took over him. It was as if the ghost of insecurity was always lurking, ready to whisper in his ear that he was no longer the same. And what about hormones? These little messengers in our body play a crucial role in how we feel. When Carlos stopped having an active sex life, his testosterone levels began to drop, and along with that, his sexual desire faded. What many people don't know is that this decline can have profound consequences. Besides affecting desire, it can change body composition, decreasing muscle mass and increasing fat. And as if that weren't enough, the impact goes beyond the physical. The mind also suffers. Low testosterone can lead to a constant state of irritability, sadness, and even depression. But not everything is lost. And that's why I urge you not to forget to subscribe to the channel. Because here, in addition to stories like Carlos's, we offer valuable tips to improve your life and well-being. With the right knowledge, it is possible to reverse this situation, as Carlos discovered later. He started exercising regularly. Something simple like a daily walk made all the difference. He also sought medical help and discovered that there were treatments that could help him regain his libido and vitality. One thing Carlos learned, and I want to share with you, is that masturbation, often ignored or viewed with prejudice, can be a powerful ally. It helps maintain erectile function, stimulates blood circulation, and releases endorphins, those substances that make us feel good. It is a natural and healthy exercise, which can be especially useful when sex is not present in life. Furthermore, regular sex brings a series of benefits for the body and mind. It strengthens the heart, improves circulation, burns calories, and helps keep pelvic muscles strong. But what many people don't know is that sex can also boost the immune system, helping to fight infections and diseases. And that's not all. Sex is also a powerful remedy for the mind. It helps combat depression and anxiety, boosts self-esteem, and creates a sense of connection with a partner that is vital for emotional well-being. When we lose that connection, we start to feel an emptiness that is hard to fill in other ways. Over time, Carlos found a new way to reconnect with himself and others. He realized that the key to overcoming this difficult period was to face his fears, talk openly about his feelings, and seek help. Today he lives fully, with more confidence and health. So if you're going through something similar, remember, you are not alone. And more importantly, there are ways to improve this situation. Talk to your partner, stay active, and don't be afraid to seek help if needed. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and stories that can transform your life. Carlos's story is a reminder that even after 50, life can be full of vitality, love, and connection. All it takes is the willingness to take the first step. Come walk alongside us on this journey of self-discovery and well-being. If you allow me, I will take you on a journey that is not just about the lack of sex, but about the silent impact that this absence can have on a man's life, especially after 50. Let's return to Carlos's story, a dear friend who, like many men, never imagined that the absence of intimacy could change his life so much. When he got divorced, it was as if a part of him had been ripped away. At first he even felt relieved. No more fights, no more arguments. But over time, loneliness began to weigh heavily. Carlos, who had always been a strong man, one who faced life head-on, began to withdraw. That lively man who laughed loudly and told jokes was fading away little by little, and the reason was something few of us noticed: the lack of intimacy. I remember it like it was yesterday. On a sunny afternoon, we were sitting on a park bench. It was one of those days when the sky seems bluer and the air feels lighter. Carlos was quieter than usual, and that worried me. After much insistence, he finally began to speak. "Anaí, you know it's been hard," he said, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He talked about how life seemed to have lost its sparkle, as if something essential had been torn from him, and he didn't know how to get it back. He told me that the absence of sex began to affect him in ways he never imagined. At first it seemed just a matter of time. He kept telling himself, "I will get used to it." But he didn't get used to it. On the contrary, things only worsened. Carlos started to feel anxious all the time, as if something was wrong, but he couldn't identify what. His previously peaceful sleep became restless. He would wake up in the middle of the night, with his heart racing for no apparent reason. And during the day, that constant nervousness followed him like a shadow. But that wasn't all. Carlos's confidence, which had always been one of his trademarks, began to crumble. He, who had always been self-assured, started to doubt his own masculinity. He wondered, am I still attractive? Am I still capable of giving pleasure to a woman? These thoughts haunted him, and with each passing day, he felt less like a man, less worthy of being loved. This didn't just affect his love life or the lack of it, but also his work, his friendships, and even his relationship with his family. The lack of confidence spread through all areas of Carlos's life, like a silent disease taking over everything. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the time. Here, you will find not only stories like Carlos's, but also tips and valuable information that can help you overcome challenges and live fully, even after 50. As time went by, Carlos began to realize that this lack of intimacy was even affecting his body. He would look at himself in the mirror and see a different man, more tired, more worn out. The vigor he had always had began to fade away. He started to avoid situations where he might encounter someone, as if he were afraid of what they might think of him. What happened to me? He would ask himself. And the answer was there, in the absence of something that many of us consider a detail, but which is, in fact, fundamental to the well-being of any person. Carlos didn't know it, but what he was feeling was the reflection of a hormonal change. When a man stops having an active sex life, testosterone, the hormone that gives us energy, desire, and vitality, begins to decline. And this drop brings with it a series of consequences. He started to notice that his muscles were weakening, that he was gaining weight more easily, and that simple tasks like climbing stairs or carrying a shopping bag were becoming more difficult. And this only increased his frustration. But the lack of testosterone affects not only the body, it also affects the mind. Carlos began to feel more irritable, sadder, and at times even unmotivated. Things that once brought him pleasure, like reading a book or going fishing, now seemed uninteresting. He was trapped in a cycle where the lack of sex led to a lack of confidence, which in turn led to a lack of desire, and so on. It was a maze he couldn't find his way out of. I always say that the first step to solving a problem is understanding what is happening. And that is what Carlos began to do. He decided to seek help, to talk to a doctor, and that's when he started to understand that he wasn't alone, that what he was going through was more common than he imagined, and that there were solutions. He began to exercise regularly, which helped to increase his testosterone levels and improve his energy. He also started to explore other forms of intimacy, like masturbation, which he had neglected for so long. Masturbation, something so natural, became for Carlos a recovery tool. He discovered that this practice helped maintain erectile function, improved blood circulation, and released endorphins, those substances that make us feel good. And that wasn't all. It also helped improve his sleep, something he desperately needed. After masturbation, his body would relax, and he could finally have a peaceful night's sleep. And we know how a good night's sleep is crucial for overall health and well-being. But what surprised Carlos the most was the positive impact that masturbation had on his self-esteem. By rediscovering his body, he began to regain that lost confidence. He learned to better understand his preferences, his sensitivities, and this prepared him for when he was ready for a new relationship. After all, as he once said, knowing oneself is the first step to opening up to others. Time passed, and Carlos began to feel the benefits of regular sex again. He not only felt better physically, but also mentally. Sex was no longer just an act of pleasure, but a way to take care of his health. It helped strengthen his heart, improve circulation, and even keep his weight in check. Moreover, each sexual encounter was like an injection of energy and happiness, something he desperately needed. And the impact on Carlos's mental health was perhaps the most significant. Sex helped combat the depression and anxiety that had settled into his life. The release of hormones like oxytocin, known as the love hormone, made him feel more connected, more at peace. And that sense of connection is something we all need, regardless of age. But what impressed me the most was how Carlos began to reconnect with life. He started going out again, meeting friends, and even getting to know new people. Slowly, he opened himself up to the possibility of a new relationship. And all of this happened because he had the courage to face his fears, to talk about what he was feeling, and to seek help. This story is a powerful example of how life can surprise us, even after 50. And that is why I am here to remind you once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The stories we share here, the tips we offer, can make a big difference in your life. So, leave your like, subscribe, and join us on this journey of discovery and well-being. Carlos taught me that it's never too late to start over, to rediscover life, pleasure, and yourself. He proved that with determination, it is possible to overcome any obstacle, and that life can be full and rich, regardless of age. If you are going through something similar, know that there is hope, that you are not alone, and that there are ways to take back control of your life. So now that we have reached the end of this story, I hope it has inspired you, just as it inspired me. Take care of yourself, look after your sexual and mental health, and don't be afraid to seek help when necessary. Life is a continuous journey of discoveries, and each day is a new opportunity to be happy. And of course, don't forget, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts on this topic in the comments section. A next video will be appearing on your screen. Click and I'll see you there.